My name is Matt Kaufman. I am 6 foot 1 inches tall, 195 pounds. I have blonde, going to gray hair, and pale blue to steel gray eyes that change color with my mood. Carrie called them my mood rings. I am 45 now, but when I discovered her cheating, I was 41 and a highly successful stock trader. I also write fiction novels, mostly Western post-Civil War shoot-'em-ups. I had a high 7-figure yearly income and thought I was in a perfect marriage. My wife, Carrie, was 39 and a successful real estate broker. We had been married for 15 years and had 2 kids. Kathy was 12 and Jerry was 10. We lived, and I and the kids still live in an upscale gated community on Reeds Lake in East Grand Rapids, MI. That is an expensive suburb of Grand Rapids. As I said, I was and still am a highly successful stock trader. I have a surprisingly good ability to pick stocks that have a short-term gain. I am right about 35% of the time. I started with penny stocks and found out that it was a head rush to take a stock whose price could be less than $5 and watch it explode upward in price. When you were buying at that price, even one winner out of 4 was profitable. I was much better than that. Just one example. I bought 500 shares of a small pharmaceutical company that discovered a possible breakthrough cancer drug. I paid $2.45 per share for a total investment of a little over $1,200, and the company was bought out by one of the big pharma corporations at $52 a share. I held it for an additional year, and the stock split 3-for-1 at $52.37 a share. I sold out and made a profit of over $77,000. Not all of the stocks did that well, but I made profits of over $5,000 on most of the successful stocks I traded. I seldom held a stock for more than 18 months, but I held most for 6 months minimum for tax reasons. My writing had started to be very profitable also. I was offered big bucks for the movie rights to 3 of my novels. I would get the money even if the movies were never made. The contract was for an 8-year period. I enlisted in the Army after high school and was medically discharged after 15 months of a 4-year enlistment. I was a training accident statistic. I lost my left leg below the knee in training when a new recruit driving a Humvee plowed into the training company I was in as we were marching to a training class. I was lucky. 3 of the company died, and 2 more were paralyzed from the waist down. The rehab was well over a year long. One bad or touchy thing is I am very sensitive about being called or classed a cripple. After I finished my rehab, I took my disability pension and my GI Bill benefits and enrolled in college. I didn't have a clear goal, but I wanted to learn. I discovered that I loved the intricacies of the stock market and of writing. My degree major turned out to be finance with a minor in creative writing. I did not wish to stay in the dorms, so I bought a nice 3-bedroom house just off campus. It was priced right, as it was in a changing neighborhood that was undergoing gentrification. I figured to live in it until I graduated and then sell it. I figured that even if I only got 90% back, it would be cheaper than the dorm costs or renting a house or apartment. When I sold it, I broke even, and a nice young couple with a new baby had a good, inexpensive home. I met Carrie Nation Darwin, named that by her mother, who was a member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union when we were seniors in college. I was taking an elective in real estate sales, and she was in the class to finish her major requirements for a degree in real estate management. She sat next to me on the first day of the class, and after we introduced ourselves and talked some, we decided to create a study group to work together in the class. We posted a notice on the study group wanted board, and when we finally pulled it down, we had a group that, besides the 2 of us, included 3 men and 2 women. We met 2 nights a week at my house. The women were serious, and 2 of the men were too. One man, Gary Ratibo, was of the opinion that the rest of us should do the work and give him the notes. He also decided that all 3 of the ladies, and they were ladies, were conquest material. He lasted about 2 weeks before he got slapped by Carrie for putting his hand on her crotch when she was sitting next to him. I ordered him out of my house and told him he was not welcome here again. He did not take it well and threatened to beat the cripple with his fake leg. About a week before midterms, The group and I were walking out of class when someone called my name. I turned and was hit in the face by something heavy. I was down and out for the count. I woke up in a hospital room. Carrie was in the chair in my room. She looked like she hadn't slept or changed clothes since the class. She had my prosthetic in her hand, and I could see it was damaged. It seems that Gary decided after he knocked me out that my fake leg was a good weapon and tried to take it and beat me with it. Carrie told me that she and a professor grabbed him and forced him to drop the leg. Martha, one of our study partners, picked it up and wailed on Gary with it. It turned out I had a broken cheekbone and, additionally, 2 broken ribs from Gary kicking me before he could be restrained. Gary ended up with a concussion, was expelled from the college, and was arrested for his assault on me. His parents were very rich and tried to make it all go away by hiring a legal team that rivaled O.J. Simpson's. Then the family tried to throw money at all of the witnesses. Then they tried to buy me. No one took the money. Gary was not well liked. Gary came up for the trial and pled guilty to felony assault as he thought he had a plea deal in place. However, in our state, we have a victim statement phase of the sentencing portion of any violent crime trial. I made my statement while still in a clear facial mask to protect my reconstructed cheek. Think of the pro basketball players and their protective masks for broken noses. And I detailed what had made Gary seek to hurt me and asked for at least some jail time. I told them how he had taken my prosthetic and was going to use it as a weapon while I was on the ground. Then I played the school security camera footage that showed Gary striking me with what appeared to be an axe handle. He got 24 months in jail. I filed suit against his trust fund, and they threw a wheelbarrow full of $100 bills at me. I got several $1,000,000 and all legal and medical expenses. Just to rub it in, I made sure that the fund replaced my damaged fake leg with a new state-of-the-art one. The new one even had distinct toes. As I was healing, Carrie was right beside me through all of the pain. With the study group keeping me up to date on my classes, I graduated on time. After graduation, I bought an apartment building in the downtown business district. After I bought it, several tenants expressed a desire to have the building go condominium. I filed the papers, and when the smoke cleared, I made another bundle and had the penthouse condo for myself. Carrie got her real estate sales license, and I got a job in a brokerage house. We dated for 6 months, and I asked her to marry me. She said yes. We decided to have the wedding planned for the next spring, and we did the meet and greets of parents and siblings. My family was impressed with Carrie. Her parents were a problem. At least one of them was a problem. Her father shook my hand with a smile on his face. Her mother was a pinched-faced, angry woman who said that she had big plans for her daughter. She told both of us that those plans did not include being married to a cripple. Carrie did not make any protest about her calling me a cripple. I left and did not wait for her. The following weekend, Carrie came to my condo and asked me if we were still engaged. I hotly responded, "I don't know. Can you stand to be married to a cripple that you chose not to defend when your mother insulted him?" She teared up and, not saying anything, handed me the engagement ring and left. The next Monday, she was sitting in the reception area of my office when I came in. I looked at her, and because I was still hurt and angry, told the receptionist, "I am not taking any visitors or appointments today." I went into my office and closed the door. Carrie called me. I told her I thought she had made herself clear at the condo, and so we had nothing to talk about. Then I hung up the phone. When I got to my condo that evening, I could smell something cooking before I got in the door. Carrie was in the kitchen, and she was slamming pots and pans around as if she had a really good mat on. I went into my bedroom and changed clothes, took off my company leg, and put on the repaired plain one. I went back out, and Carrie was sitting at the kitchen table crying. The stuff on the stove was burning, and the smoke alarm chose that moment to go off. I turned off the burners, turned on the exhaust fan, and pulled the battery out of the smoke detector. I turned as Carrie put the condo key on the kitchen table, got up, and headed for the door. I intercepted her and sat her back down at the kitchen table. "You are not going anyplace until you get yourself calmed down." I am sorry for the way I was mean to you this morning at the office, and when you called me, but you never tried to defend me when your mother spouted her anger and venom. I was hurt. I was also very angry, and if your mother had been a man, I would have punched her. She sat there for a good 5 minutes, still sobbing. Finally, she said, "Matt, I was shocked and didn't say anything because I couldn't believe my mother would say that. I knew she had a rich second cousin she wanted me to marry, and I had told her I detested the slime bucket. After you left, my dad came over and slapped my mother and called her a harridan, and he packed up and left. I went back to my apartment, and I cried for a couple of days and made myself sick. It took 2 more days before I could go to work. I came to talk to you this past weekend, and in my mind assumed that you had decided you did not want me anymore. Then this morning I was going to ask if we could start over. When you went into your office and closed the door, I was not surprised, and then you showed me how I hurt you when you hung up on me. I knew I was going to have to work very hard to try to win you back. You know I don't think of you as a cripple, don't you?" I responded, "I know you never said anything about my leg. But when you didn't say anything when your mother called me a cripple, I jumped to the conclusion that if you didn't agree, at least you were embarrassed to have it pointed out so you couldn't ignore it. I will not be the cause of your embarrassment over my injury, and if it embarrasses you, we should end everything right now." I continued, "I was hurt. Then you showed up almost a week later without a word in between and gave me the ring back without me asking for it. I knew we were done then, and I was hurt again." That started the tears again. I finally picked her up and took her into the bedroom, covered her up, and went and laid down on the couch. The next morning, Carrie woke me up and told me to call the office and take a day off. I called work and was told to solve the problem and hurry back. I was also told to do as much as I could from home through the office intranet connection, using my sign-on and password. Carrie left to get some clothes for the day, saying she would bring back breakfast. About an hour later, she returned with 2 covered plates from the local diner that we both liked. She handed me a plate that had the biggest Denver omelet I had ever seen. She must have had the restaurant make it up special. Hers was the same on a much smaller scale. After breakfast, we talked for almost 2 hours. Carrie apologized again for not standing up for me against her mother. I waved it off, and we decided that we did not need to start over, but to restart. I gave her the ring back. We still had some problems, Marie. Carrie's mother kept trying to throw roadblocks into our plans. She told Carrie to insist on a prenup. I agreed. Then she insisted on an abuse or adultery clause to the prenup. I agreed. She finally told Carrie to have the prenup say all premarital assets would remain the property of the originating person and that all assets earned in the marriage would be split 50-50 if divorced, except if the adultery or abuse clause is the reason. In that case, all marriage assets would go to the injured party. We signed. Then she wanted an accounting of my assets. I said sure, as soon as I get an accounting of Carrie's assets. That shot that down. I had told Carrie before her mom made the demand that I was rich, but not how much I had. She had told me she had a trust fund that gave her a stipend monthly. She did not tell me how big the fund was or how much the stipend was, and I never asked. Then dear old Mom tried to shove different guys at Carrie. It got so bad that Carrie stopped accepting invites if I wasn't included. We never went over there. The final attempt was when Marie told Carrie she would not be at the wedding. Carrie said, "That is your choice. My father has agreed to walk me down the aisle, and his new lady can stand in for you." Marie said okay, she would come. Just when I thought the roadblocks were over, Carrie informed me that her mother claimed that I was seen in a motel with another woman. I asked if she believed that. She said she didn't know. I took off the engagement ring and showed her the door. I decided I did not need the drama and definitely did not need the distrust. A week later, I got a letter from Carrie. "Matt, I am so sorry for doubting you. When I pressed Mom for the dates, she told me one of the dates and times was when we were at dinner together. I know I messed up again, but I was being bombarded with those claims from my mother. I finally started having doubts. I love you, and I am sorry that I let my insecurity and my mother make me doubt you. If I do not hear from you, know that I know you never were a cheater or a liar. You were the best man I have ever known, even better than my own dad. Again, I am so sorry. Carrie. I read the letter and thought an appropriate response was required. I was still very angry and hurt. Miss Darwin, in case you did not understand the significance of my removing the ring I gave you, let me spell it out plainly. I will not marry someone who doesn't trust me. I will not marry someone who believes lies from somebody she knows dislikes me. I will not marry someone who would allow her future husband to be insulted. Does that make things clear? Now that I have vented, here is what I will promise the woman I love enough to marry or even get engaged to: fidelity, protection, loyalty, and love. I have been exclusive with you from the first time we dated after I finished my injury regimen. I have loved you and only you since the second date we went on. I have made plans and promises with and to you. If you think that those things are not enough, then this is our last communication. If you can't trust me, don't contact me again. I have agreed to take another position with my firm and will be moving out of the city. I have sold the condo, and as of next Friday, I will be gone. I have left instructions at the office and with my attorney that no one but my immediate family is to be given any information about my new job or its location. I still have to work this week, but please do not try to contact me if you don't trust me. Even if you do trust me, I will be taking a new position, if for no other reason to get away from your mother's meddling. Your former love, Matt. I sent the letter to Carrie's office in a company envelope. I did not want anyone but her to read it. She apparently ran home to Mama because, sure thing, Monday morning the shrew was on the phone to gloat. You wimp, I know you weren't cheating on Carrie, but you're just a stupid, poor, nothing of a cripple, and she deserves more and better. Then she hung up. Carrie finally called late Thursday. It was just before quitting time, and I had already made arrangements to have Friday off. If she hadn't called then, she would not have gotten hold of me. Matt, before you leave, can we meet to talk? Please, there are things I need to say and things you need to know. She added, I know I messed up, and you had the right to break up with me. I just don't want you to leave with you hating me. I don't hate you. I am angry, but it is not hatred. I just can't forget the lack of trust and the lack of respect you showed. I see no reason to talk, especially when your mother, remember her, the mother that lied to you, called first thing Monday morning to gloat and insult me some more. How did she even get my office number? I'm sorry. I guess that I needed to talk to someone when you took the ring back. I might have left one of your cards at her house. Please don't leave me without us talking face to face, she replied. Okay, I know I shouldn't, but I will meet you at Seymour's pub at 8 tonight. I will talk to you, but I make no promise or even hint that we will get together again. Just remember, I will no longer be around after tomorrow. 8, and if you decide not to show, everything is done. I'll be there. I love you, Matt, and I want you. I will grovel if necessary, she replied. 8, not 8-1 or 8-2, 8. Then I ended the call. Well, she was there on time, and the first thing she asked was, Can I come with you to your new job and new city? I can sell real estate anywhere in the state, and if I am with you, I won't be hearing my mother spew her venom. I was shocked. I had never imagined a request like that. I told Carrie that I needed a minute to think. After a few seconds, I decided that I wanted to be with her. We moved to the new city, and Carrie found a job within a week of our move. My new company was paying for an extended stay hotel suite for us until I could find an apartment or a house. Carrie's job was in an office about a block from mine. I found a nice house in the Forest Hills suburb of Grand Rapids. I didn't really have a reason to do it as I did, but I only put the trust fund's name on the deed and tax records. We had not gotten married yet, so the prenup made it mine as long as I wanted. I broached an idea I had to Carrie. Let's both contribute a set amount into a household account every month, and anything above that would be the earner's mad money to do with as he or she pleased, I added. As of now, my salary and bonuses are almost twice what hers were, so, for now, I will contribute 66% of the household account. If kids come along, I will contribute 100% while you are not working, but taking care of the kids. She thought that was a great idea, so we set it up to start. She would put in $3,000 per month, and I would put $6,000 in. That amount ensured that we would be building a decent nest egg for future house maintenance. We decided to go ahead and get married in Grand Rapids. Carrie's dad, his new girlfriend, and my family were the only guests. Carrie's mom was angry to the point of vowing to never speak to us again. Or I should say, I never did speak to her again. It turns out Carrie did. We honeymooned in Honolulu. We spent 2 days on the beach and the rest of a 3-week trip exploring the sights and the other islands. We spent a whole day just walking the forest in the nature preserve. We explored the open to the public areas of Mauna Loa volcano. Then we toured the remains of the leper colony that we were allowed into. It was a glorious start to our life. Life was great. Carrie was moved from mundane cold traffic to the exclusive section of the real estate firm. We had Kathy, and Carrie took 4 months off and arranged for a live-in nanny. We then had Kenny and moved to the house in East Grand Rapids. We survived the normal kid traumas and their pushing of the boundaries we set for them. Childhood diseases and scrapes and sprains were lived through. The school was a fight for only the first week or so, then the kids decided that learning stuff was fun. About 6 months after our 13th anniversary, Carrie started to question any time I was out of the house. I had quit working in the brokerage and just used them for my trades. I spent my time writing. I had more than 30 novels and anthologies published, and had 4 or 5 ready to go to the proofreader. The only time I was out of the house was when I was in New York to talk to my publisher, or in Chicago to talk to my business manager about my contract renewals or movie rights. I was getting the mama's meddling vibe from Carrie, and I called her out on it. She admitted that she had reconciled with her mother but had not gone to see her as she knew I would blow up if she did. I didn't say anything. I just went into the bedroom and started moving her stuff into one of the guest rooms. She saw what I was doing and decided that discretion was the wise thing and did not say a word until I had everything moved. Then she asked why. I wondered where all of this suspicion was coming from. Has your mother told you I was cheating again like she did before we were married? Did she ever come to see her grandchildren? Did she ever realize that I could buy and sell that jerk she wanted you to marry? You know, the one you called a slime ball? Well, she didn't say anything and just started sleeping in the guest room. She never again questioned me about where I was going or who I was meeting with. It was strange, though. Shortly after that, she started telling me she was told by her boss to start showing houses on Tuesday and Friday afternoons. As an exclusive listings agent, all of her showings were by appointment only. After about 6 months of this, she slipped up. She came home one day in different clothes than she left in. I started to pay more attention. I also started to make arrangements to protect myself and my kids if she was cheating. About 3 months later, things in the home had gotten more contentious. Arguments were much more frequent and nastier. The final straw came when she said angrily, "You can't even work like a normal person. Being an author and writing fantasies for the masses to devour is perfect work for a cripple, I hope." She stopped right there, as she knew she had stepped over the line. I reached out to her and turned her toward the door and pointed. "If I am not to your liking, it is 17 steps to that door. Don't let it hit you in the back during its closing. Call me a cripple again, and you can go home to Mommy." I decided to do some investigating. About 2 weeks after the cripple comment, I decided to follow her on Tuesday. She went from lunch to a Motel 6 on the South Belt Line, 28th Street. There she met with her mother and the slime ball. I started to follow her the next Friday, and no mama, but 2.5 hours with one of the guys from our college study group. This went on for a month. Same motel, most of the time the same room, just 4 different men, including one of my cousins. A real womanizer with a 3rd wife and 5 kids. I was sitting in Denny's restaurant on a Tuesday afternoon watching the Motel 6 across the parking lot. My wife's car was parked next to my cousin's. I had watched them both go in the same room an hour ago. This particular time was the 5th time that I knew of. It was also the 4th different man she had met alone in this particular motel in the last month. One of the men was her office manager, George Wilson. One of the other men was the second cousin of her mother, the one she called a slimeball, who also worked in the same real estate office. The 4th was Tom Morton, one of the guys from our college real estate study group. She had even brought him to our house once, at least. Every Tuesday and Friday, she was there at the motel when she was supposedly showing houses. This time, I would have a semblance of revenge. I called the prearranged number and said, "Room 107 again. Greg Kaufman is today's victim." I watched as 2 cars pulled up, and a young lady got out of one of them, and a photographer got out of the other. The girl knocked on the door while the photographer was taking pictures through the undraped window. The girl had her phone on so I could hear. Carrie came to the door but only showed her face while hiding behind the door. The girl was wearing a recording device. "Are you Mrs. Matt Kaufman?" "Yes, I am." "How did you get this address information?" she replied. "Your husband, Mrs. Kaufman, you have been served. Is Mr. Greg Kaufman in this room with you?" "You obviously know he is," Carrie said with a snarl. Then she turned to the inside of the room. "Greg, get your back over here and take what this child needs to give you." He came to the door. "Mr. Greg Kaufman, you have been served." Then turning back to my loving, cheating wife. "Mrs. Kaufman, a Mr. Wilson, and a Mr. Claremont from your real estate office are being served as we speak. Mr. Thomas Morton will be served as soon as we can locate him. Here is a restraining order for you. It requires you to not return to the Kaufman residence in East Grand Rapids and to maintain a minimum of 300 feet from Mr. Matt Kaufman and his children. Do you understand?" She whimpered. "Yes, I understand. I'll bet the cripple has done something to my mother also." The girl said, "I would not know about that. But your husband did ask me to point out the window where he has been watching from." With that, she turned and pointed at me, and I waved to my soon-to-be ex. Well, things went better and worse than I thought they would. Carrie hired a shark of a lawyer, and he wanted to void the prenup, saying that the engagement and marriage that it covered had been called off. The judge did not buy it. Carrie's attorney wanted court-ordered counseling. The judge agreed. I refused, and I was jailed for 30 days before the judge gave it up as a lost cause. Carrie wanted custody, but when Kathy told the judge that several times Carrie had brought strange men to our house, the judge denied that motion. Then came the ultimate insult. Her lawyer wanted the decree to be changed to irreconcilable difference so that his client could share in the marital assets. I had my lawyer present all of the photos and reports about her cheating. The divorce was granted, and Carrie did get to keep her personal savings. All other assets became mine only. She got unlimited visitation as long as a court or child service official was present, and she could not take them overnight or out of state. The guys, well, they got what they deserved. Greg was divorced, and his wife took what was left of his assets. The real estate people were all fired, divorced, and could not get a job in our area, so they moved to different states. Tom Morton was never found, and I never pursued it after the divorce. Carrie's mother was ecstatic for about 90 days. Then she found out the grandkids could not come to visit her, and I would not allow her in my house. Nobody wins in a divorce, but I got everything I expected and moved on with my life. Carrie was dutiful in her visitations until she decided to marry the slimeball. Then they moved to the West Coast, and we have not had a card letter or phone call since. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.